High school was a time for bad decisions. We made them constantly. But none of those decisions would haunt me like the night I followed a girl into the woods behind the cemetery. I was young, stupid, and desperate to impress someone who would never see me the way I saw her. That desperation nearly cost me my life. My friends and I spent most weekends at the cemetery on the outskirts of town. It was massive, with acres of forested land surrounding the graves. We'd sneak in after dark, find a quiet spot, and just hang out. Sometimes we'd explore. Sometimes we'd invite girls. It was our version of teenage rebellion. On this particular night, there were 6 of us. Me, my 2 best friends, and 3 girls from our class. I'd managed to get my hands on some stuff that definitely wasn't legal for kids our age, which helped convince the girls to come. I was trying hard to impress one girl in particular. Let's call her Jane. I really liked Jane. But she didn't feel the same way. I was trying everything that night to change her mind. Nothing was working. And then she suggested we explore the woods. My friends tried to talk me out of it. The woods were too dark. Too dangerous. But when the girl you like wants to go into the dark woods with you, you don't say no. My friends stayed behind with Jane's 2 friends. Jane and I walked into the woods together. She was acting strange, talking about rituals and dead souls. I didn't care. I was just happy to be alone with her. We walked deeper than I'd ever been before, past the old graves that had been forgotten by time. The gravestones back there were falling apart. Names barely readable. Covered in moss and leaves. It was sad, really. People who had been completely forgotten. But Jane kept talking about the dead, and I kept nodding along, pretending to understand what she was saying. I didn't. I just wanted her to like me. Then we found it. Hidden deep in the woods, a small abandoned church. I thought it was a mausoleum at first. But it was definitely a church. Old. Crumbling. Completely forgotten. I wanted to go inside. Jane didn't. She thought we'd disturb the souls resting there. I thought that was ridiculous. I convinced her eventually. We walked up to the wooden doors. They were chained shut and locked. Jane was clearly uncomfortable, but I didn't care. I was trying to prove I was brave. I smashed into the door a few times, broke part of the hinge, and pushed it open. I stepped inside. Jane stayed in the doorway. The church was incredible. 7 or 8 rows of pews. A small altar. Books scattered around. I started walking around, trying to convince Jane to come inside. I made my way to the altar and started doing a disrespectful impersonation of a preacher. She wasn't amused. And then I took another step. The floorboard snapped. I fell through the floor. Probably a 10-foot drop onto hard, rocky ground. It hurt. Bad. Jane finally entered the church, running to the hole to make sure I was okay. I shouted up that I was fine, even though I wasn't. My phone had a weak flashlight, but it was enough to see. I shined the light around the room I'd fallen into. It was small, with wooden beams and dirt on the floor. There was a ladder to get back up, but it was broken. Jane said it looked like a crawl space door. I asked her to run back and get my friends. She didn't want to leave me, but I insisted. She ran. I was alone in the dark. I tried calling my friends, but they didn't answer. I scanned the room with my flashlight, terrified of finding spiders. And then I heard something. Movement. Not footsteps. Shuffling. Like something dragging itself across the ground. I turned. Nothing at first. Then I saw it. The dirt near one of the wooden beams had been disturbed. Freshly disturbed. My heart was pounding. I didn't know why, but I was terrified. I started shouting for my friends. And then I heard another sound. A grunt. Coming from the darkness. I shined the light in that direction. I screamed. Staring right at me was a strange man. Bald head. Angry eyes that seemed to cut right through me. He was on the ground, crawling toward me. Not walking. Crawling. Like an animal. I was pleading for my friends to hurry up. They came. One of them dropped a huge tree branch down the hole. I climbed up, feeling it snap under my weight with every step. By some miracle, I made it to the top. My friends looked down and saw him too. He was crawling back behind a pillar. We argued about whether to help him or leave. We left. But the guilt ate at me for days. I went back alone. The branch I'd climbed up on was gone. Moved. The man was gone too. I have no idea where he came from. No idea where he went. And I've never forgotten the look in his eyes. Life has a way of testing you. Just when you think you've moved past one nightmare, another one appears. It was like the universe was playing a cruel joke on me. First the man in the church. Now this. A woman who seemed harmless at first. Until she wasn't. 2 years ago, my grandmother passed away. She was the most important person in my life. More of a parent to me than my actual parents. When I went through a rough time, she was the only one who stood by me. I owe everything to her. Her death hit me harder than I could have imagined. After she died, I started visiting her grave at the cemetery after work. I just talked to her. It was my version of meditation. I felt at peace there. Until I noticed her. A strange woman at a grave 2 graves away from my grandmother's. She looked normal at first. But something was off. She was in her mid-40s, tall, skinny, with wild curly hair. Not bad looking. She had a pretty smile. But her mannerisms weren't right. She'd laugh and talk to the grave like she was having a conversation. Then she'd look over at me. Every time I caught her looking, she'd say something like, "Don't mind me. Just chatting with George." I assumed George was the name on the grave. People talk to loved ones in cemeteries all the time. It wasn't that weird. It was the way she talked. The volume. The way she'd audibly laugh like she just heard the funniest joke. Something about it made my skin crawl. I started noticing her daily. It was like she was waiting for me. I'd pull up to my grandmother's grave and she'd already be there, waving at me. Somehow, she even knew my name. She'd greet me by name as I got out of the car. It was unsettling. But I couldn't stop someone from visiting a loved one. One afternoon, she approached me. She apologized for being loud, saying that when her loved one passed, it hit her hard. I understood. We talked for a while. I told her about my grandmother. How special she was. And then I made a mistake. I told her my grandmother left me the house in her will. I don't know why I told her that. Sometimes we overshare when we don't need to. She seemed genuinely interested. But something about the way she looked at me when I said it made me uneasy. I brushed it off. We went our separate ways. I didn't want to talk to her again. I changed my visiting schedule. Instead of weekdays, I started visiting on weekends. For the first time in a while, I was alone. The woman was nowhere to be seen. I felt relieved. But then I noticed her sitting at a different grave, talking to someone else. I felt bad for her. Maybe she was just lonely. That night, I went out with friends. I got an Uber home around 1 a.m. I was exhausted. As I walked up my driveway, I noticed something. A light was on in my house. I never leave lights on. I knew something was wrong. I should have called the police. Instead, I decided to check it out myself. I walked inside slowly and quietly. I heard a sound coming from my bedroom. Someone was going through my things. I hid behind the door and peeked through the crack. I was too scared to move. And then I saw her. The woman from the cemetery. She emerged from my bedroom holding a photo of me. She walked past the door I was hiding behind. Inches away. I held my hand over my mouth, trying to mask my breathing. She went to the living room and sat on the couch. She was talking out loud, just like at the cemetery. Talking to George. Having a full-blown conversation with herself. Then things took a turn. Her normal talking changed. She laughed hysterically at nothing. Then screamed. After the screaming fits, she'd stare into the distance and break out crying. I didn't know what to do. She was so unwell. I didn't know if I was in danger. In the middle of a scream, she stopped. She stood up. She said, "It's time to go." She looked around the room, said she wouldn't want to make him upset, and then went out of my sight. I heard a minor struggle, then giggling. Then silence. I stood behind that door for another 30 minutes. When I came out, she was gone. The window was open. That's how she got in and out. She didn't take anything except the photo of me. I called the police. They never found her. Couldn't even identify her. A few days later, I went back to the cemetery. She wasn't there. I went to the grave she always visited. The name on the tombstone wasn't George. She was pretending the whole time. The police think she found my house because I told her I inherited it. I've never seen her again. But I can't stop thinking about why she took that photo. Of all the things she could have taken, she chose my face. You'd think after the man in the church and the woman in my house, I'd learned my lesson. Stay away from cemeteries. Avoid strangers. Trust no one. But life doesn't work that way. Sometimes the nightmares find you. And sometimes they've been waiting for you longer than you could ever imagine. I bought my first house last year. Beautiful. Secluded. Still only 15 minutes from town. The price was dropped a few times because the house is practically in a cemetery. My backyard leads right into the back of the cemetery. Growing up, I spent so much time walking in cemeteries with my mom. Now I have one in my backyard. At first, I loved it. I'd walk around the cemetery at night, listening to music or just enjoying the silence. It was peaceful. Relaxing. Some people think I'm crazy for walking alone in a cemetery after dark. But it never scared me. Until one night when everything changed. I was walking without headphones, just enjoying the quiet. At first, I thought I heard a voice. Faint. I assumed it was the wind in the trees. Then I heard it again. Clear as day. A voice behind me. Calm. Casual. "Hey, Jake. It's me." I turned around. Some random guy was walking toward me with pep in his step. Not running, but walking fast. It was well after 2 a.m. He was wearing black sunglasses, a dirty white t-shirt, and jeans with holes. I didn't recognize him. I didn't say anything. I just turned and started walking fast myself. I turned around several times. He was still following me. Still walking fast. I started sprinting. When I looked back, he was gone. My heart was pounding. It was bad enough that he was chasing me. But he knew my name. I didn't know many people in this town. I never told anyone where I lived. I took a super roundabout way home. I didn't want to give him any idea where I lived. I checked all my locks. I spent the next few nights paranoid, constantly looking out my windows. He never showed up. But the fear didn't go away. It just waited. A couple of months passed. I didn't go on any night walks. But one night, I felt reckless. I decided to take a short walk. I walked for about an hour and didn't see anyone. I started to feel safe again. I told myself I'd imagined it. Maybe he didn't say my name. Maybe I misheard. The next night, I went out again. 1 a.m. One earbud in, listening to music. I found this big tree and decided to sit under it for a while. I closed my eyes. And then I heard something pass by me. I opened my eyes. I didn't see anything. Just gravestones. I closed my eyes again. I heard a whisper. Right behind me. Hey, right behind me. A cold hand touched my shoulder. I jumped up. This man was peering from behind the tree with his hand outstretched. Same guy. No sunglasses this time. His hand was dirty. Red. Like it was covered in something I didn't want to identify. I started backing away. He walked out from behind the tree, his hands still outstretched. He walked like he was learning how to walk. Unnatural. Stiff. He said my name again. I haven't seen you in a while, Jake. I tried to speak but couldn't. I was terrified. I didn't try to fight. I just ran. I ran faster than I ever have. I didn't look back. I took another roundabout way home. That was the last time I ever visited that cemetery. I told some friends about it. They suggested he was a caretaker or security guard. But that didn't explain how he knew my name. And this is an old cemetery. They don't have security. I looked up the current owner of the cemetery. An older woman who's technically the caretaker. She said no one works on the grounds at night. She doesn't do much maintenance anymore because of her age. There was no one who should have been there. No one who should have known my name. I put up a fence to separate my backyard from the cemetery. From my bedroom window, I can still see beyond it. Almost every night, I look out that window and think about that man. Then, while I was writing this story, I reached out to my mom. We'd had a falling out years ago. I decided to bury the hatchet. We're slowly working on repairing our relationship. In one conversation, I mentioned the cemetery behind my house. I told her about the weird guy I encountered. She was quiet. Then she asked if I remembered why we stopped walking in cemeteries when I was a kid. I didn't. She told me that one afternoon, a strange man fitting that description approached us. He greeted her by name. He insisted we check out his new car. She implied she'd call the police, and he finally left. She was so terrified she never went back. She reported it to the police, who said they'd had other reports about that guy. He'd been watching us. For years. He knew my name back then. He still knows it now.